I mean, tēnā koutou katoa, ko Otakaro rawa, ko Okawaho na awa, ko Iwhai te Moana, ko Waitai te Hapori, ki ngā paenga o tātou e mahi nei ko Homak Māntuka Ingoa, ko au te matakura o tēnā wāri. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa. Hi everyone, my name is Paul Mann. I'm the Chairperson of the Waitai Community Board. Thank you for coming today. Nice to have a packed public gallery. If you'd like to join me in our karakia timatanga, it's going to appear on the screen. You're welcome to stand with me or you're welcome to remain. Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tunga. Kia mā ki te computer, kia mā tarara ki tai. Te hia ki ana te atakura, e tio, e ruka, e hauhunga, ti hei mauri ora. Thank you, everybody. Just before we start, we have a really full agenda. We have a number of people who come here for the forum, so we're going to have to move really quickly. Each of the public forum items, 5 minutes, including questions, and I'm going to try to stick to that, which apologies, members of the public who've come here, but you have come on a very full day, so it may not, we don't have any extra time. Before we get to that, do we have any apologies? No, everybody is here, as nobody needs to leave early. Oh, all right, thank you. Do we have any declarations of interest anybody would wish to make?
Yep. Item 4.4.
Item 4.4, that's the Marston's Will Trust.
Yes.
And what's the declaration you'd like to make?
I know the people in the trust that
yeah, and given it's no decisions that have to make, it's just whether one arises in the future, you'll have to manage it.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. All right, cool. Anybody else? No, nothing else. Now moving to the confirmation of previous minutes.
Was that correct?
You know that they're correct. Second, I think Jackie started talking before you raised your hand. Jackie, moved by Tim, seconded by Jackie. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Now I move to the public forum. I'm going to ask the Bromley traffic update to come, traffic plan people to come to the board. Yes, please. You're welcome to have to bring another chair. Right, Ian, sorry, I only have 5 minutes, including questions. So now's your time. Go for it.
Kia ora, and thank you for meeting with us today. My name is Jane, and with me is Emma, Sarah, and Annette. We speak on behalf of the Bromley Residents Road Safety Committee and the wider Bromley community. We're here to ask you to consider safer roads for Bromley as a priority in your board plan. We know this will be a big job and will have its challenges, but as a community, we are united, we're coordinated, and we have a track record of working well with Council. We are committed to continue working with Council and to create a positive, game-changing result for the wider Bromley area. The main issues are excessive speed. We're not talking about 60 or even 70 Ks, we're talking about 100 Ks plus any time of the day or night, on a daily basis in our community. We totally support Council's proposal to reduce speed limits in our area, and as you can see from the comments online, many share similar concerns. I moved to Hay Street 5 years ago and was shocked by the amount of speeding vehicles, including buses and trucks. I believe this has increased and am concerned it's only a matter of time before an innocent person will be injured or worse. It will take more than putting up new speed signs. We need a coordinated road calming plan, even if it's temporary for the first few years. Secondly, the safety of our families on the street. Very rarely will I walk on Hay Street because of the constant reckless driving. Some neighbours choose to drive their young to school to prevent them having to walk on these streets. The statistics on accidents, hit and runs, injuries and death speak for itself. Just a couple of weeks ago, a driver crashed at full speed into the side of a house on the corner of Hay and Ruru, narrowly missing the residents asleep in their bed. We don't even feel safe in our own homes. Thirdly, heavy vehicles using our neighbourhood as a cut-through. What a way to create a division in a community. Some of these buses and trucks don't even drive the speed limit. They're very disruptive, not to mention the vibrations and shaking they cause to my house and that of my neighbours. So thank you. I'd like to hand over to Emma.
Thank you. Kia ora, my name is Emma. I've lived in the neighbourhood for 18 years. In 2010, my boys and I were walking home from the mall when a 17-year-old driver lost control of his car, drove onto the footpath and hit the three of us. My 6-year-old was badly injured and my 4-year-old was killed. Many in our community don't walk in for exercise or recreation because our streets aren't attractive and they don't feel safe. We face issues of speeding and people doing burnouts. We can hear this from inside our homes. But we also have many vulnerable residents who don't own a car and don't have a choice but to walk. We have children and older people wanting to access the library, the pool, the mall, Linwood Resource Centre, and many other services. The streets as they are now create severance in our community, no doubt contributing to social isolation and loneliness and negatively impacting our well-being. There are many reasons why safer streets should be our priority. One, the climate emergency. We need to find ways to reduce barriers to active transport, reduce our dependency on cars, and establish other transport norms for the next generation. Two, community well-being. The speed and volume of traffic impacts connections between residents. Community connectedness is crucial to build social capital and enhance community resilience. Three, healthier neighborhoods. Greener, more walkable neighborhoods improve mental and physical health and reduce pollution. We need more street trees, slower speeds, better pedestrian networks, and for our streets to be places that people feel safe on. The social cost of a road fatality in New Zealand is estimated to be just under $5 million. I can tell you from experience, these incidents are life-changing for many people. Although we are rapt about the announcements today, and that there seems to be an interest in righting some of these problems, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and it's not going to be fixed quickly. It's hard to quantify the savings you get from these changes, but they will be there. To sum up, we urge you to make safer roads for Bromley a priority in your board plan. We'd like to thank the council team we've been working with, and we'd be happy to meet with you guys again. We have lived experience in the area and ideas about how to improve it. Safer streets will be a game changer for our community, and this is the time to create a lasting legacy for Bromley and its surrounding neighbourhoods. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, we've only got a short time, and I just wonder, as a manager of the Community Association, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just really echo what they're saying, that it is a problem in Bromley. Really grateful that Jackie has taken an interest on the committee. It's been really positive to have that input from the community board, and just yeah, keep on with we're hopeful that we'll see something happen.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And we have just had a bit of a board discussion prior to this about our board priorities, and Bromley traffic was right up there. So just please be assured we are taking an interest, and yeah, we hope that the various streams of funding and parts of council can talk to each other, and we can have a more of a lined up approach. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, sorry, we do have a.
Sorry, just in terms of actions from the deputation.
That's not a deputation.
Public participation. Are we able to get some advice around what we're teaching orally? Like, as per the request.
We can ask. We can note that down. Yeah, we may not have a lot of time for members' information exchange, but I don't think anyone would object if we note that down. Yeah. I certainly support that. Yeah. All right. So next we have the Youth Development Fund report back from Bowen Abraham, Ruben Brown, and Eli Robertson.
It's a fantastic start.
Thank you very much. All right, guys, you've got 5 minutes. Floor's yours.
So my name is Bowen. This is Eli and this is Ruben. We're part of the Shirley Boys High Canoe Polo team, and we recently made a trip to the North Island to compete in club champs and national secondary schools. We placed 4th in secondary schools, and I think it was 10th in club champs. It's good.
We have a slideshow.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find it. Just bear with me for a moment.
Anyway,
What's it called? The Shirley Boys trip to Division 2?
Yeah.
Boys that have bulletproof Eskimo rolls, right? Both sides.
Pretty much. Oh, you have to.
You have to, right?
You get pushed over.
Sorry, what's a Eskimo roll?
It's when you roll back up again.
You don't use your pedal though.
It's made of ice cream.
That's aim switches.
Have you got the clicker over there?
Inuit rolls.
How are you?
Inuit rolls.
Right?
Is that what it's called?
Oh, canoe polo. Right.
So, canoe polo is a five-a-side sport. It starts with a charge start, so the ball gets thrown into the middle, and one player from each team sprints, and whoever gets it starts with the ball. And each team's trying to score in the opposition's goal, which is 2 meters off the water. Our journey. So we all started playing for Shirley in year 9. We started in D grade, and when we were playing in D grade, we had a goal of winning the A grade schools competition in Christchurch one day. And this year we've managed to do that. So it's good.
Well done.
Yeah. We're all pretty keen players. We're training kind of a couple of times a week. We're getting real keen on the sport. And that trip up north really got us some extra experience playing with some of the North Island teams.
Yeah, and then this trip was like a big thing for us. We really enjoyed it. So it started off, we drove all the way up to Hawke's Bay. It was supposed to be a 12-hour trip, but then it turned into 24 hours because of the ferry delaying. And so the first weekend was the Nationals club competition, which we had the first day only 4 hours of sleep. Yeah, and yeah, I think everyone had a really good time. We got to look around seeing some awesome scenery. Like we got to look at the Hooker Falls and got to hang out and became closer as a group.
And so we also, the next weekend after, we went and we participated in the Division 2 Nationals. So this is the lower level nationals from Division 1, which is for like more developing teams and things like that. So it's developing us for next year when we go towards Division 1 nationals. And so at this nationals, there's a lot of teams that'll be next year because there's a lot of senior B, a lot of teams that are still developing, a lot of younger players. So it's good for us to get better. So we placed 4th there. We could have actually come better. It was a bit of a disappointment, but we also learned quite a lot. So it's good for next year when we can come and like do better as we've learned like all the different tactics and different teams and players that how they play up north. It's a lot different to down south. They're bred to play canoe polo from year 7 onwards. They're young, their parents have played, it's generations. They've got all the development programs up there.
It's warm.
It's, yeah, it wasn't when we were there, but
No wind protection up there.
Yeah, yeah. So our team goals for next year. So this year we placed 2nd at South Island Secondary Schools, only to Middleton Grange. Next year we plan on coming 1st, which we'll hopefully do considering we won schools grade. We want to continue to win schools grade for both term 1 and 4. So continue that for our streak. And then we want to also place top 3 at nationals by seeing the way that we played at Division 2 Nats. We can hopefully burst those teams, and including us getting better, we can get better at Division 1 Nats. Many of us are playing different teams like National League, which is for a club, which is like different things. Bowen's playing National League A grade with adults and things like that, which is the Premier grade in New Zealand. So with all that development, we can hopefully do better at Nats next year.
Yeah, and lastly, we want to thank you guys because you guys really helped us out getting up there with the funding. It was an awesome trip, and we hope to go up there again next year for both competitions again. So yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much.
And thank you very much for coming and reporting back and showing us some pictures, and just really happy that the previous community board's been out. Yeah, and
thank you.
Wish you all the best for your next season.
Yeah, good stuff, guys. Brilliant.
thank you.
I'd just like to say I played water polo with your coach. I mean, canoe polo.
Excellent. All right. The next item is the Linwood Resource Centre Community Gardens.
Evening all. How are we doing? I've just brought some bit of show and tell. So I'm Anna Harris. I'm from the Linwood Resource Centre Community Gardens, Community Shed and Linwood Men's Shed, all on the same site. We are a community centre that is based on 332 Linwood Ave. And as you heard from our title, we have quite a range of things happening. I will pass out a couple of leaflets just so you can see what we're up to. And I've also got, thank you. I've also got some samples about what we do. So the community gardens, we'll start there. We grow everything from succulents, fruit, veg, herbs, whatever we can get our hands on, most of which we either grow our own or is donated very kindly. We are based around building community. So the growing is a way of bringing people together. It's just a tool. It's all about growing community. So we have community plots in there, and through those community plots, we grow food for our clientele, our actual small community, and we go wider. So we also give food down to the Linwood Ave Corner Community Trust for their shared lunches when we have a glut in the summer. And then the gardeners take their own as well, and then it comes into the house. We share it around amongst the house, and we also then put it on our free pie stand out in the car park. So it goes in many places. Our rent for a personal plot in our gardens is labour. You help out in the rest of the plots, and once you've shown your stuff and your knowledge and you're willing to learn, then you can ask Vic for your own plot, and off you go. And we can give you all the support that we can. We've also got the men's shed and the community shed. So this is a couple of samples. So this is the first thing you ever build. This is your work box. This isn't mine, mine's full of tea. That is also a chopping board, which is made completely from recycled material, which is donated, scrounged, begged, borrowed, stolen. No, it's not stolen. So we've got those, they're pretty simple. We've just done a various craft fairs. So we're making out of recycled, and wherever we can find it, we've got all these little candle holders. We've also got a laser cutter. So these on Wednesday will be used to make our own wrapping paper for Christmas. So they're stencils. We've got various lathes, so you can actually carve your own pen if you want to have a crack at that. And one of our pride and joys is our honey. We have our own bees. So if you'd like a taste, I'll just send that round with some spoons. I've come prepared. I've come prepared. Yeah, and we do sell our honey. I'll start with you, Jackie. There we go. Yeah, and it's so what we accept anybody and everybody, preferably those around our area, but whoever comes. We've got various people, and we collaborate with various other community groups, rest homes, Skillwise, Brackenbridge. Oh, the list is endless. We have also set up the Linwood Collective, which is us, the Linwood Ave Community Corner Trust, Worston Development Project, Methodist Mission, so I'm going around geographically, Bromley Community Centre, St Chad's, The Loft, Eastgate Library, and Emily and Rory have just come on board as well. So we try and address the bigger issues around the place. So we are in full support of Bromley's road traffic as well, as my office is dead opposite Hay Street. I have heard many screeches of brakes and everything else. Right, just as a quick request, might be a bit cheeky, but as the community board, what we would ask really like you to support us really, it's not just financially, which you do a brilliant job of, thank you very much. You keep us open. but simple things such as spreading the word and coming in, seeing us, interacting us, not just the Linwood Resource Centre, all us community hubs. If you've got anything that you want to know about, we're the people to go and talk to. We're the people on the ground, and come and interact.
Thank you very much, Mina. Yeah, sorry, we're just coming
in
5 minutes. I just want to thank you very much for hosting me and Jackie for the Christmas lunch.
Lovely to have you.
I have to say I did not know what mutton ham was.
No, nor did I.
It's amazing. So, yeah, and it was an amazing feed, and that garden is incredible. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for
I'm sure that we will take opportunity to come and pop in.
Right, please do. You're always welcome, whether you're technically mine or not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done. Thanks.
And the final public forum attendees are the Marshland Hall Trust with Sian Ruth and Adele Mitchell, who are going to come join us. As with all the previous people, you've got 5 minutes, and I'll be tight on that too, sorry.
We do have a PowerPoint.
All right.
Would you mind pushing the button on your microphone to turn on?
Which the
That one.
That one? Yep. There. How's that? Okay. Yes. So introducing ourselves. My name is Sian Ruth. I am the Parafed category appointed representative on the trust, and Adele Mitchell, who is the New Zealand Law Society appointed representative on the trust. We also usually have a third trustee who is actually appointed by yourselves, and we will be getting to that in the new year. We have provided a statement which hopefully you've had a chance to read, so we're not going to go through that in detail today. So far it's been a 6-year journey for the trust, and that's included updating our original trust deed, which was dated, I think, 1907, handwritten, a very beautiful document, but very hard to read. We've been busy consulting with the community. We've sold our old community hall, which was on Marshlands Road. And we have been busy with discussions with council staff and Preston's Park developer, looking at possible locations for our new community facility, replacing the old hall. We've identified what we consider to be the perfect location for the new facility, and that's on land adjacent to the Marshland Domain, and it's currently owned by the Preston Park developer, CDL Land. The developer is very supportive of our project, and he's assisted us with some building concept design work, allowed us access to his architect so he could help us put on paper the feedback we had from our community.
So we've consulted a lot with our community. The local school, Marshland School, they have a hall, but they can't actually fit their whole school inside that hall, so they can't put on productions. They can't fit parents and children in the hall. It's only kind of a half-size basketball court at best. So we've consulted with them, community groups, sports groups, people who are existing users of the domain. We've recently held a community day. We had, we think, over 1,000 attendees. It was a really great success. We're going to be doing that every year. So from that, we have identified what we think are our greatest priorities to include in the hall. So we're going to have a full-size basketball court, a stage for productions, meeting rooms, and things like that. So another method of consultation, we recently had a golf ball drop. So that involved for Sian and I standing outside Preston's New World every weekend for the last 6 weeks. But we really were able to meet our community and tell them about our project. You know, have you heard about the Marshland Hall? Yes, that's the old one, we've sold it. Have you heard about this exciting plan for a new one? And we sold about 1,000 balls, which wasn't bad in 6 weeks, raised about $8,000. So we really got community buy-in in more ways than one. So we've really had lots of positive feedback. And so, yeah, our goal for our fundraiser and our community day was really not so much about money at this stage, it was really about getting people behind us. So, yeah, that's informed the plans that you see there.
So, yes, that's a concept plan, and I suppose it's our wish list of what we want to see there. From here, and looking...
I've got about 30 seconds.
Okay, we need to buy the land. So that's our big thing. We can't move forward with the project till we do it, and that's our priority. We know that the previous community board had in their plan a priority for a community-led facility in the Burwood ward. We would very much like the new board to continue that priority. And the other thing that we would really like to see is that we will be doing a submission on the annual plan next year, asking for council to support us to purchase the land. And we would very much like to have the community board's support for that submission and include that in your submission too.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm sure you know you have two very passionate advocates on the board.
I think so.
And it's communities advocating and working for a project it's exciting for us and makes it easy for communities to participate. But we do not have any time. How short?
Very short. Wonderful presentation. I just want to reiterate the fact that this community, so many of them are from people who are displaced from the red zone. I see them all the time when I'm out walking and in our neighbourhood. And that's a really important factor because Burwood lost a lot of community facilities and this is part of the way back. That's all.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
I'm sure we'll hear from you again.
Keep making us passionate too.
It's infectious.
Okay, well, that brings public forum to an end. We don't have any deputations by appointment or any petitions. We do have correspondence from the Dallington Residents Association who have signalled that they are going to close the community centre.
Dallington Community Trust.
Dallington Community Trust, yes, and have signalled. And I just like, it's fairly matter of fact, and they close saying, the trustees wish to thank consecutive community boards over 22 years for their support. We hope that the board members will continue to support our efforts to keep Dallington folk connected. So what they're proposing to do is to change their trustee to be an events trust. There's not really much more to add. Do we have any discussion? And by which I mean, is there anything that any facts or anything that need to be added to that, or shall I just move the staff recommendation? All right.
Paul, do we need to maybe just send them a response and thank them for the work they've done so far?
I think that's a really good idea. So if we can change it so that would you like to move, Joe, that the community board receive the correspondence from Dallington Community Trust and that the chair writes to the trust to thank them for their 22 years of contribution to the community and to commend them for their intent to continue to connect.
Would you like to do that?
For their attempts. For their continued their intent to work to connect the Dallington community. All right, so moved by Joe, seconded by Greg. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. All right, thank you. And the next, we have a new lease to Papatipu Matihiku Charitable Trust library, which does sound like an exciting development. So
I'd like to move the recommendation.
Do we have a seconder? Yeah. Well, we'll move to debate, but if there's any information staff think that we need to know, I'd like to know a little bit more about the Charitable Trust.
Thank you. I'm Grant from the leasing team. And so my job was just the business end of it, putting together the lease side of it. But I've got Erica and Kate from Libraries who are doing the relationship agreement side of things. And it sounds like a really exciting project. So if there's anything you wanted to mention about that.
Kia ora, I'm Erica Rankin, so I am the manager of half of the libraries in the city, including New Brighton. And I just want to say it's a really, really exciting, obviously at least one or two of you agree, just such an exciting opportunity. And we've had, they came to us, we've had wonderful, wonderful discussions with them so far. We're very much on the same page. We need to formalise everything, obviously, and we're working on a relationship agreement at the moment, which goes hand in hand with the lease to occupy. But we're sort of all coming from the same philosophy and drivers, and there is nothing quite like this in New Zealand yet. There is a digital hub in Rotorua. It's in a, I think it's in a leased premises, definitely not in conjunction with council or in a library. So, I mean, I just think this is the very best that we could have. The same shared purpose to bring those kids in that either are not coming in and give them something meaningful to spend their time on, to educate them through the hook of gaming, and also other creative technologies, and then to give them a purpose that's bigger than just what they'll be coming to do in the facility.
Do we have any questions? Tim?
I just got a comment. It's a shame the Aranui Library wasn't bigger.
They were actually very keen on Aranui. They're also very keen to provide service to Aranui in some way or other, possibly doing some busing down of kids for some particular programs, possibly bringing some things to Aranui. So they're like really excited about the opportunity.
We've got Yanni and then Joe and then Greg.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the work that you've done. So just to sort of understand a little bit more, if you're a young person in our board's area and you want to get involved in esports or gaming, what's the pathway through this program?
They haven't got their program signed off yet because we're working on it with them, but they do, the three organisations, which are part of Papatipu Matahiko, are working already in some of these areas. So we have the Digital Natives Academy. They bring expertise in curriculum and program development, experience working with schools, at-risk youth and community. They've got strong industry networks and they've got committed long-term funding partners, which is another good thing about this. Victory Up, which you may have heard of. So they are responsible for delivery of the only sanctioned high school esports league. So the libraries work with Victory Up already on esports.
So any young person in our board's area could access the services. Yeah. There's no sort of financial barrier.
No, that's free.
There's no criteria. It's just if you've got an interest.
Yeah, I imagine they have to. They will have an awful lot of people interested, I would say. So they'll have to manage that somehow. So criteria, there might be some way of managing. There might be a waiting list. I know that they intend to work with the schools also to get their interest and that connection to who would be the people who are really going to be interested in this, and it would really benefit.
Okay, and is it just, I just wasn't clear from the report, is it just for Māori or is it for anyone?
No, it's for anyone. It's just that they do have that particular focus because that's a particular area of need, as we all know. Also, I'd really love, we didn't have time because we needed to get this organised, but I'd really love if we could get Henry from Victory Up to come and give you all a presentation because they really are doing some amazing work.
And the final question is, we were told that we would be updated at the meeting over Naitoa Theory, and what's happened there. But yeah, just keen to get anything sort of formally recorded around their response.
We are too, and you know how slowly these things sometimes move. They have had discussions with Ngātahu and Ngātahu, but we don't have anything formal that we could bring to you yet, but we will as soon as we can. Just
I guess the learning from the Three Waters, like as council. So I'm just a little bit,
like
I'm really supportive of this. I think it's great. I'm just a little bit concerned about making the decision without having that express view recorded before we make the decision. It's kind of where we came unstuck with the Three Waters this year.
There was certainly concern that we all knew that there was a need to have buy-in and that we needed to go through the right processes with mana whenua. And so they are working their way through that, because also we don't want to jump on anyone else's boat, as it were, or we don't want to be doing what others are doing in the community. This has got a slightly different focus from anything I'm aware of. Yes, it might just take us.
Yeah, can I just add to that the relationship agreement is interdependent or conditional on the lease. So if that approval or that doesn't happen, then the lease wouldn't happen. But we just need to be able to seek the board's approval today so that we can move forward.
We can add something to the resolution asking or noting around the importance of that relationship with mana whenua. Jo.
Yeah, just clarification, with the existing users of that space, the community, are they still able to use that space?
Not, that will be, Kate can talk to this in a moment, because it's her library, but not that space will be their space. They will set it up with all the high-tech kit, which will be theirs. They'll be there on site every hour that we're on site offering service with their own staff. But that space hasn't really been doing what we intended it to for years, and Kate and the team have got some fantastic plans about the way that we can still offer the services that are needed in the community relating to the computers in different ways.
Yes, because I know there's quite a few people that go down to the library, especially to use the computers in that room, so there's plans in place for that.
Yeah, we currently have 22 public computers at the library, and we have gone from a situation maybe 15 years ago where they were at 75% usage to less than 50% and dropping. And our intention is to keep the higher spec computers which are in that room, but use them in other parts of the library so that the software and the capability and the access is still there for the community. But we are also able to do some other very cool things. So we are anticipating working very closely with the trust and potentially running programs with them.
Yeah. And final question, are adults allowed to?
Yes. Yeah. They have a strong intention to do intergenerational programming.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Greg.
I suppose one query is, esports is such a massive thing. Is there actually space to grow beyond that area?
I'm not sure how much I should say, but I know that they are very, very, very keen to grow in their relationship with libraries along all the lines that I mentioned. But esports is growing like nobody's business. And in fact, they do have some of the schools do their esports competitions from New Brighton already.
Yes.
So is that space going to be big enough to start?
It's not really it's not a gaming space.
No.
It's So they've used Tūranga often, which is a big space. So, and I'm sure that this group will do whatever they can to support that. And remember that some of the three partners have also got a focus when we're not talking about this joint trust on esports. So they're doing what they can in the rest of the city as well.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. So I think we'll just move into board discussion. I don't have any more questions. So I've got a draft resolution there. So I've just added to the staff recommendation request staff to work with the community governance team to arrange an updated briefing from Victory Up in the new year. And all knows the importance of the council interest having a constructive relationship with mana whenua. Yanni?
Can we just add that this is conditional on agreement with, is it Waitai and
Waitai?
Right, so because I mean other councils will know we got slammed, absolutely slammed for making decisions without knowing their views on joining C4LD, and I would just hate to repeat that mistake.
That is true, but I wouldn't like the significance and the scale of Three Waters compared to this shouldn't be conflated. I don't think. I would like to hear just a little bit about the I would through the leasing process. Is there what's the impact assessment on mana whenua?
So if the relationship agreement doesn't go ahead, then the lease won't go.
In the relationship agreement,
there's the whole piece of work that
so and that includes a portion, an element of the relationship with mana whenua.
Not sure how that will look yet, but if you would like that specified in there, I'm sure we could. I think the main thing is, which was the first question, is there a formal agreement? If we've got anything formally.
I don't think it would be wise for us to specify what it looks like. I do think it would be important that that's a part of the relationship.
I should have said also we do have a chain of emails from the people involved about who they have met with and what the outcomes were. So it's not a thing that's signed off by both parties.
So they've met with Ngāi Tuariri, and that you have that in writing that they are comfortable and supportive of this?
Yes.
Okay, well, in that case, I'm comfortable to not have that in the resolution. Other members might think differently, but I'm happy to hear from them.
So can we just be clear? So if they've agreed to it, then why don't we have anything?
So it's just the time it takes with those agreements, with the relationship, and anything we do with mana whenua, which we know is so valuable, but it takes much longer than our processes often take. So,
and so what you're saying, and I take that is that you have a record of that agreement.
We have a record of the discussions that have taken place so far, and they're all positive.
Okay.
So just on 6.6, we just talked there was a hui on 2nd December to confirm the relationship agreement. So the relationship agreement has been confirmed or no?
The meeting was to talk with them about what we would have in the relationship agreement and what we were all thinking. And that was also discussed there about where we got to with that communication with Ngāi Tahu.
So there's no concerns that have been raised, there's no outstanding issues, but there's just no final confirmation of the agreement because it's being drafted.
That's right.
There's lots of bureaucratic stuff rather than
it's a bit chicken and egg because we needed to get this.
They wanted to know that the board would support a lease and that we were able to offer a lease to them, I guess, before we sort of end up with a relationship agreement. It's like which comes first, and if the board said no, we're not interested, we're not going to grant you the lease, then there's no point in them investing that time and the money and fit out bits and pieces that they're looking to progress, because they're trying to get some critical paths in place so that they can open as soon as possible.
They're seeking funding, of course, too, at the moment.
Okay. Right. I think that answers my question. I'm happy with the recommendation as it is. If anybody wants to amend that, I'll just ask if wanted to amend that. I think we have confirmation that our concerns have been dealt with. Okay. Well, in that case, I'll move that from the chair. Do we have a seconder? Yep. I think it was you, Kelly. All right. Any debate? No debate. All right. I'll put that. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Please do keep us updated.
Definitely.
Keen to
hear more about it.
It's signed off.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And your support.
Cool. Next item is number 9, dedication of local purpose road reserve as road, 60 Thursday Place and 62 Caithness Street, New Brighton. This is a Part A recommendation, so it's not actually our it's not our decision, but it is it is our recommendation. It looks fairly straightforward. Is there anything that's not straightforward about it?
I'm a bit confused by it.
It is straightforward, notwithstanding Tim's confusion. It's complicated in that, being a local purpose road reserve, we've got to go through a Reserves Act revocation process. Noting from Colin's report that there's already resource consent being granted for the bits passing between the two road reserves, so that resource consent has been granted. If we don't go through the process, did I say revocation before? Of legalisation of local purpose road reserve has got to be carried through, because if we don't legalise it as road, it's going to stop that resource consent and that subdivision progressing. We're going to be made to have a reputational risk.
So there's 2 blocks that were designed to stop there being a road put through there.
I can only assume that at the time in the developer, when it was being developed in 1976, the particular landowner at the time didn't want to develop. So to protect the future road corridor, there was 2 road reserves created. And now that whoever owns the land wants to develop it, they need a road connection through there. You're going to declare it to be road.
And that was the 1976 was the year David Close was elected to council for the first time. So that's going back a while.
I'll just bring him and ask him why.
Yeah, it's probably this. Does anybody have any further questions, particularly anything of concern? Would someone
just a clarification.
Yeah, clarification.
So the road will go through.
Yes.
Who owns that section in red?
I haven't got a colour one. The 2 bits either side.
No, that piece will go through.
The bit that goes through the middle will be vested as road in the council.
So you'll own that whole section?
Yeah, we'll own the road that goes through. There'll be residential development either side of the road.
Yeah.
The 2 blue bits will be.
Yeah, but the council own the whole thing and will.
I'm not sure who owns the adjoining land, sorry.
So the sections either side are privately owned, but the road, but this road will be owned by the council.
Okay, so it's a private person owned with the houses.
Yeah,
they just want to put the road through.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, it makes sense.
Right. Yeah. With that answer, does anybody want to move the staff recommendation?
Yep.
Moved by Kelly, seconded by Jackie. Any debate? No. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. All right, thank you. And now we're to the revocation of reserve status of 242 Lake Terrace Road, Shirley. Again, my question is, I know there's been discussion with the Community Housing Trust. I am interested in whether there's an option to, for instance, leasehold it to Kāinga or something like that.
Forgive me, I don't know those details. I didn't even know I was going to be here until this morning. I can certainly take back to Colin that when the public consultation occurs, that Kāinga Ora are contacted directly. And if they have any feedback or objection to the reserve revocation process, but that'll open up a connection or a dialogue with them. For example, one of the properties that was declared surplus in the council's LTP last year, we managed to sell it to Kāinga Ora. So when we get through this process, we can invite them to make a submission through the public notification. Whether they do it or not, that's another story. But if we can then open a dialogue with them. Do you want to buy it? can take that feedback.
This is not a part A. This is our so my question is, can we, I don't know if anybody can answer this, but can we incorporate in the resolution a request to council to directly contact Kāinga Ora?
I think they said that they weren't interested. I'm sure.
No, that's the Community Housing Trust.
Oh.
Yeah. And Yanni?
I can't advise you on that.
No.
So,
Yanni and then Tim.
Just obviously for the new board members, we weren't here when the board last considered it, but just looking at it, just wanted to check, like, how suitable would this land be for housing? I mean, putting aside who might develop it or who might have houses on it.
It's a complying allotment in the city plan, so yes, it's quite developable for a residential dwelling.
Right. So I guess the chair's question, but someone's talked to OCHG, but has anyone talked to the council housing team about development on it?
I don't know directly, but I'm sure Bruce Wendell will have this in his eyesight, line of sight to see our Kāinga Ora Housing Trust are interested in again.
800 square metres.
No, it's not 450.
Is it?
It's going to be it's subdivided because they need access to those units and house.
Oh.
I would like to suggest that we delay it. So, and are we able to, question might be answered this one, have Waitai Housing Trust Rep come and talk to us about why they're not buying or asking for these sections?
I don't know if you've got any comment on why the trust wasn't interested. But
well, just in general, though, not just this one, but any.
So you'll see I've in the draft resolution, I've got Kāinga Ora be contacted directly regarding the potential use of land for housing as a subject to. So I guess so my thinking is that if the trust have said that they're not interested in it, I mean they know as well as you do that it's good residential land. I don't know if we can second guess that. I guess we can we can ask them to come and brief us about what kind of land that they are interested in. They're not going to change their mind because we've asked them for a briefing. But I would like it to be at least in the sport area part of the process when we look at disposed land that we're talking at least to Housing New Zealand. So I don't know. I mean, does that make sense?
It does, but we're still happy hundreds down in the east on social housing pre-growth.
Yes.
There's an opportunity of putting 2 units there. So
Possibly
I'd like
more,
you to come and explain why.
Yes, but is that if they have made I don't know the answers, but if they have made a policy decision, are they to do otherwise as being asked to come and explain themselves to us going to change their mind?
Let's find out. This has been on the books for 5 years, so why not wait another 6 months?
All right, that's a fair point.
There's also council housing as well, which is
that's what I'm talking about.
Well, I guess the thing is that the council housing and Waitai Community Housing Trust. Joe.
Why don't we just consult with the neighbours as well and see if they're keen to buy the section?
Well, I guess
the existing neighbours, because the driveways and everything are there for them, they may be interested.
That would be part of that. So, my reaction is like I don't really want it on the private market if we can avoid it, if we can have it for
affordable housing.
For affordable housing, Kelly.
Yeah, can we agree to this, but subject to it being offered to social housing first, and so that if they decline it, then it just goes ahead and they don't have to come back to us.
Or we could add into it subject. I mean, you can say. Just trying to think. I don't know if you can the Waitai Community Housing Trust have already said no. So what Tim's asking is why. I don't know.
To me, it's a separate issue.
To me, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, because I think we'd just be slowing it down, which is a moot But I feel that, you know, if they're not interested in it, then, you know, we should let council get on with, with what they're doing. But it would be good to understand, you know, why they didn't. And that's probably a perfectly logical reason, which we don't know.
But there are half a dozen other trusts that could take this on and have affordable housing.
Yeah, possibly,
So one thing we could do is lay it on the table until the next meeting, and so that we can have council housing come and speak to the report. Is there any reason to?
With council housing, there was only one person in the council housing team, and they are solely to liaise with the Waitai Housing Trust.
Okay. Or Bruce to the table.
we can still leave it to. We can still leave it on the table and get someone from the trust to come and speak to it. Is there any reason?
Well, if you wish, but this report really is about revoking the reserve status. If that reserve status isn't revoked, it goes nowhere, full stop.
So it can't be sold, but it says in here and be sold.
Well, that's the intention of revoking the reserve status, so we can get it sold.
Well, we can do the reserve status, but say don't sell
it. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Now, how do we amend that?
All those other issues are addressed.
Yeah. To the community board satisfied. Yeah.
So how?
So you take out 2. So declare. So you take out 2, which declares the property as surplus, and you might want to replace it with request a briefing from the OCHT regarding why they don't.
Well, would.
And 2 and below.
Yeah, 2 and below. So I would be. I don't know does anybody have a problem with that? I mean, we can go into debate if they do, but we can say so 2 that. So what we'll be doing is we'll be revoking that Kāinga Ora would still be contacted directly, but that we don't need to change that. Request a briefing from Ōtautahi Community Housing Trust. Regarding potential future use of the section for residential development. All right. Would any so would someone like to move that?
I'll move that.
Moved by Tim, seconded by Alex. Any debate? No.
Just in regards to that number 2, like they've already signalled that they're not interested.
Yeah, well, that's right. But what we would like, what I guess Tim's big thrust is that we would like to know why before we start the process of declaring it surplus, because there could be any number of reasons why it's been they're not interested. There's no urgency for declaring the surplus. The main thing is to declare it, to remove the reserve status of the land. Is that a debate or is that another question?
Oh, like just a question, but
okay,
we've got the right. That's not probably a question. So
yeah, okay. Then. Well, because it's that we have something on the table, so we can.
Just to be kind of constructive, like
sure.
So the other thing I'm aware of is that councils through the Greater Christchurch Partnership and Urban Growth Committee are doing what they call a social and affordable innovation housing strategy action plan. It's become very convoluted, but effectively one of the things in there is retaining public land for housing. Like it's one of the key things that's been identified. But I just wondered also whether, like, I'm just concerned about just going to the housing trust, given they've already indicated that there might be other people in the housing space, that like the Methodist Mission or the housing, or there might be others as well.
We could amend that to say I mean,
I really want us to look at options for retaining it for housing.
I wonder whether the first protocol is talk to the trust and see what why it is, and then we can decide what to do from there. But yeah, I think that sounds sensible. So I'm going to put that down. All those in favour say aye. Right. Against? Carries. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, hopefully, I look forward to another discussion about this at a later time. All right. We have here one funding application, sorry. Does anybody have any issues or questions about this? I might save you the trouble, Aurora. There's no issues or questions?
No, I'll move it.
All right. Moved by Tim, seconded by Celeste. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Carry. All right. So now we move to representation on outside organisations. So I'm just going to go through alphabetically on the list. We've had some people, and I'll say, as they come up, if people have indicated that they would be keen on it, we can have some discussion. I do ask, like, there's plenty to go around. We can, make sure that one, everybody has something, but also there's not necessarily. They're all important, basically, is what I say.
If you hate Kelly, it's okay.
So I'm just going to go through, and what we'll do is, unless there is a log jam where we need to have a vote, I'll move through and just get them down, and then Cindy will get them down, and then we'll see how it goes. So. All Saints Anglican Church, I believe that that Kelly.
Yep. Happy with that.
So Aranui Community Trust, I'm quite keen on that. Do we have anybody else? Okay, cool. Bridge South Brighton Trust, Alex, you've indicated you're keen on that. Alex?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of managing my time as well. So I might at least see anyone else once I can put my name.
That's great. I was last
I think we've only been invited to have one person. So that I just don't think it's necessarily exclusive. It may be, it will be up to the groups. Like, I don't think there's anything to stop other people from. So can we just deal with each item as they come? Yeah?
Oh, yeah, but it was just a related question.
Yeah, can we just deal? So I think there's the person whose job it is to go. If each of you can, if somebody else wants to come, they should talk to the person who's a delegate. I would ask that members be accommodating of other people, but also that we respect that one person is the delegate. Kelly?
Yeah, just a little note. The organisations have their own sort of requirement, or some are quite happy for you to just turn up once a year, or just be able to contact you. So you can talk to them about your availability and commitment.
Yeah, and I guess that's the primary thing, is that we respect the organisations and what they want. Provided that that's reasonable, obviously. So Alex, so the Bromley Traffic Plan, I believe, is now not, because it's not properly constituted, and there's no terms of reference that we're not going to appoint anyone. Kelly, you said you were keen on the Burwood Pegasus Community Car Watch.
I think it's just watch. I'm not sure the car is.
Community watch.
Community watch. All right. It's not watching cars. Okay.
We move off to the Bromley one.
I see. The thing is, we're not making a decision about that now. We can move through the other ones, and when we are through the things, if we have time, we can talk about that. But we're not making. There's no decision to make yet. That's the point. Christchurch Streets and Garden Awards Committee. Jackie is very keen on it. I know. All right.
And that'll be the judging as well.
That's the judging, yes. The Downington Community Cottage Trust, which we've just had a discussion about. So that trust will continue to exist, but will be events. So that's in Burwood. Does anybody put their hand? Greg? And Eastern Community Sport and Recreation. I've had both Alex and Joe say that they're...
Yeah, I'm happy for Alex.
You happy for Alex? All right, Cool, thank you. And so this one specifically has two. Keep Christchurch Beautiful Committee. Jackie has said that she's interested. Anyone else want to be on Keep Christchurch Beautiful? Joe. Joe, too late. All right. Marshall Hall Trust. Greg. Now, I think that there's if you're being, because you have some clear conflict of interest, it may be better to have somebody who else as the board delegate, and you can be involved, because so it might that it's just that if so, what happens if we come to make a financial allotment decision, then you can't be involved at the board level of that because you have a conflict of interest.
Is that likely?
Well, so say the board makes a decision to grant money to the Marshall's Trust.
I'm saying, is that likely that the board will grant money?
Oh, I don't know. We can't. I don't think we can prejudge that.
To go to council with money.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you to how you manage anything that might arise. But I just thought I would better to.
I think it'll be fine to manage and usually it comes up.
Well, if you're keen, then yep.
There's no point in sending someone else to a meeting.
I guess that the other thing is that I know, and this is I've been caught. I was involved in community trusts and stuff when I was first elected to the community board. Is that when it comes to discussing the board plan and the annual plan and our board submissions, because you have that conflict of interest, you can't participate in that because it's a potentially pecuniary. We can't. It's not you can't. You have to manage that. And I would advise
questions on things as are raised.
Pardon?
It's still going to ask the questions around it rather than give.
So the purist would say no. You shouldn't do that. And I've seen this come up multiple times where people get it. I was in the situation myself when I was like, oh, okay, where people get elected to community board and they're involved in an organisation, and then they have a conflict. And so that on one hand you have the non-pecuniary stuff, which is the non-financial stuff, where you can just sort of say you can manage it reasonably easily. When it comes to financial stuff, which includes the annual plan, you've got to be careful. So what I want to do is let you think about it, and we'll come back to that.
But in some situations, you could say, "Hey, Tim, will you ask these questions?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you a list.
Yeah.
It would be your voting as well. So you wouldn't be able to vote on your submission, or you would consider whether you could vote on your submission. So if you're going to make a submission on the annual plan for it and you're a trustee, how does it look?
I'm still a trustee.
So I don't know what the specific, if you are the board, so is that the board liaison or is that as a trustee? So it's not as actually a voting member of the trust.
What's happened to their board trustee position, and have they amended the deed?
They don't need to have someone who's on the community board as their trustee. They only need someone who can be appointed from or satisfy the board that they're happy to have that person as a trustee. I'm currently talking to a couple of people in the local community groups.
If you're not a trustee and you're just a board appointee, you still have the issue of your wife being on a trustee, and so that's still sorry, we're just discussing this now. I think what we should do is push pause on that and have a bit of a discussion, because I don't want to.
Could we address that later though? If he becomes appointee, down the track, if that becomes obvious, we can always change.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do it that way.
So I just wanted to check for this one, but for most of the others as well. We actually received a letter from this group saying we'd like you to appoint.
We don't receive them individually, but every year, every start of every term, we do this. We go through. So they already have liaisons appointed for all of these groups. Right. So some of the members aren't here anymore. Some of them may need to change based on workloads. So it's a process that we go through at the start of every term.
Back at the start of the term with each of the groups about whether they had a council appointment or whether they need one.
I think
Sorry.
Cindy.
So those that were appointed last time, which you'll see on the report, we haven't received any communications from any of those groups to say we no longer want a board appointed liaison. So following this process, once the board have decided whom they're going to allocate as board liaison or contact, I will specifically write to each of those groups on behalf of the board to say, this person's been appointed, please make contact with them to discuss your requirements and inform them of your meetings and schedules thereafter.
Okay, and is it constituted by most of these that's in their rules that they have someone appointed by the council?
Not necessarily.
So, like, I would like to, like, if we can make it clear to members that if they don't want a board appointee, they don't have to have one. I don't think we need to change the decision we're making. So just going to motions. Well, if you're happy to manage it as it arises, Greg, then I think we should just we should make you the delegate. If you're happy with that.
Yeah, if it becomes too much of an issue, then we can look to change it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's fine. So let's keep moving. Neighbourhood Support Canterbury, Alex, you said?
Question.
Huh?
Question.
Question?
Yeah, so if circumstances change, I don't know, jobs and stuff, there's an option to replace it later.
Yeah, you just have to bring it. Yeah. So you happy with Neighbourhood Support? No? You don't want it?
Your
hand went up. What?
No, so my hand was up for the question.
So Neighbourhood Support is something you said that you were interested in. Are you interested in it? Okay, Alex. New Brighton Business and Landowners Association.
It's not currently.
It's not currently active. There is some attempt to try and revive it.
Yes. Okay, so talk to us.
Well, the question that we're talking about is whether somebody wants to be the delegate, whether it's alive or not. Then that's another question.
Okay. What would you like to do?
That's what it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can address it if it comes live again.
So, if you so no, what are you saying?
Well, is there room for a delegate to help revive it?
I think that there has been some conversations about whether maybe the Residents Association could also work in with the Business Association to have one group rather than trying to start another group, but that's up to them. So Alex was potentially interested in being the delegate for the Residents Association.
So let's just
leave it out.
Let's just leave it out. All right. New Brighton Community Gardens, is anyone keen? Joe. New Brighton Historical Society. Tim's already chair, so let's make him the delegate.
And a question before about people being able to go to places, New Brighton and districts, blah, blah, blah. Anyone's welcome to come to the meetings.
Yep.
Anytime.
Cool. New Brighton Project, Celeste. Orion Customer Advisory Panel. I'm actually quite keen on that. I didn't see anybody else's hand. Jackie.
You were too quick.
Project employment. Jackie said she's interested in PEEPs. Are you still interested in PEEPs?
Yeah.
Yep. Pukeko Centre. Anybody interested in Pukeko Centre?
Yeah, okay.
Tim? Renew Brighton.
I'll do that.
Joe?
I've got Joe next to mine.
Roy Stokes Hall Trust. We've got a memo about that.
Anyone interested in that one? All right then.
Tim? Sustain South Brighton Incorporated. I had Alex was interested.
Oh, I'm amazing.
No.
Okay, Celeste. Parklands Recovery Group.
Is that functional?
I haven't heard of that.
We don't know.
They didn't recover.
Okay, well, we'll leave that because we don't know.
We can find out if it's functional.
So Wainoni Avonside Community Services Trust, but Jackie said you might be interested in that.
Is that okay? Maybe I will.
Youth Alive Trust. Anyone interested in that? I wondered if you might be interested in that, Greg.
I was like that.
Pretty.
Yeah. Myself.
So now we move on to the residents associations, and I think generally speaking, people from the ward should probably do these. So we've got, and I think, so Avondale, Kelly, you said you're interested?
Yep, happy to do that.
Burwood East, Greg. Dallington, Kelly, you've said you're interested?
Yep.
New Brighton, Alex. North Beach, Joe, you've said you're interested. Parklands, Alex, you said you're interested in that.
If no one else is.
Parklands, all right. Preston's, great. I'm sure that's reasonably close for you.
Pretty easy.
South Shore. Go. Spencerville. I'm happy to do Spencerville because I know some people who live out there. The former chair of ECAN who lives out there. So Jenny, yeah. So happy to do that. Tamara Park, Kelly, I think.
It's in Coastal.
Oh, it's in
now.
It's in Coastal now.
Doesn't matter, does it?
Actually, I don't know. Linda was the board liaison. Okay. I don't recall who.
Okay, so
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but first it should go to somebody who's from the ward, I think. Yeah.
No.
Waimaro Beach.
Sorry, Paul. So who got that one?
Oh, Celeste.
Okay, just wasn't ready.
Waimaro Beach. I think I had Alex and Joe who are interested in it.
Yeah, I've got
Joe.
lots of them.
Okay, and then there's Waitakere where I've had Tim and Joe, I think.
Oh no, I just put my name down.
Waitakere's in Burwood. I'm happy to do that.
Is it?
It's right next door to my house.
Okay, okay then. All right, Kelly. All right. Well, in that case, we haven't had any arguments. So I think that generally bodes well. We haven't appointed everybody, but we can come back to that now. Our diaries are going to look potentially quite different next year. There's no shame in coming back and saying, look, I can't make these meetings or anything like that. We're like, the first thing I would like to do before we discuss any matters that have arisen from the discussion, which I'm anticipating what you want to discuss, Yanni, is I'll just move those appointments. Because there's no disagreement, I'll just move them as a block, seconded by Kelly. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. All right, thank you. That is great. Very happy. We do have our meeting scheduled to discuss. Sorry. I did. No, Tim.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't. I mentioned it a couple of times. I was expecting you to put your hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Zoned out. Can we get more than one person on that one?
I don't know.
Oh, it's asked tonight.
Yeah, well, I don't want to have to rescind the resolution. So
we'll be the formal one. I'll be there.
We can be there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's the thing is that it depends on the organisation, right? But
okay.
Just and that's the key is that we respect the organisation and what they want from the board. If they say you're all welcome, I
expect they'll be very pleased.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Celeste.
So we've presentation outside arrangement. So we only have 10 minutes to do. So if we can move, can do the meeting schedule and submissions committee and the readers committee, and then
can I raise the issue on? That's very bright.
Okay. Yeah, go for it.
So I'm just mindful that there's other things that we should be appointing to that we may not be aware of. And I just want to understand what the process should be to get staff to review the organisations on the Linwood board, and maybe, maybe there's others, but around the requirements to consider appointments. Because I'm aware of some that aren't on the list that possibly should be, but I just didn't know who's collecting that information or what the process is to verify it. And like the Parklands Recovery Group is another good example. Yeah. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on it today, but I just wondered if we could get a process to
can we
ground truth.
Yeah, well, can we
appoint to and why?
Dana, can we do some work on that offline?
So, yeah, we can absolutely. But the Linwood, we went through the Linwood team to see what organisations or groups had liaisons from Waikora last term. So there weren't any, I don't think.
There were, but they've now.
But not in our but not now in our new area. So that work has been done. And the other thing that you can do if there are other groups, and it happened last term as well, they can write to the board and ask for a liaison appointment. So these are ones that we know because they've asked, and that's probably a good process is if they come to the board and ask themselves.
I think we should regularly check in with the groups to make sure they're still running, that they're still keen, you know, and yeah, I just feel like that's
and that's part of the process of having a liaison is it's a two-way. So you're talking to the groups as well as them talking to you.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure that the Linwood one reflected what happened last term. Either, like the advice in the report, but it's quite accurate.
Can we sort of like it'd be good to have some more information about that. Yeah,
I know we're short for time, but I just want to get the process just refined a bit.
Yeah. Well, I think we've in terms of this, we've made a decision about appointment. We can each of us now have organisations to be in touch with. We will get the contact details via Cindy. The way that I guess we can ask them, say to each of them, if you do not want a board appointee, please let us know, or if you no longer, please let us know. Obviously, organisations like Actis, we know that they're running, but some of these other organisations we might not. So I think
it should be a precedent at the start of the term where we.
Yes, it's true. That's true. But as far as the information that staff have, this is the information that.
I'm going to work with you and staff next year to get all the way forward. Thanks.
Cool. So the meeting schedule, right? Okay, we are now on item 13, meeting schedule.
Is this the same as the Word doc that Cindy sent out a couple of weeks ago? Is there any edits?
No, there's been this is what was on the agenda.
Yeah.
So this is slightly different. So it's the dates. There are some differences here.
So through you, Mr. Chair, so as discussed offline, these are the dates that were shared with the board. They were just put into this report. The only differences are not in the times or the dates, would be potentially some briefing location.
Thank you. Yeah. Cool. Yes, thank you. So the idea is that we so there's meeting times which when we've said are going to be here. So later on, from about July next year, we hope that the Linwood community at Smith Street will be available for community board meetings too. But given the end, Cindy can attest to the logistics involved in having meetings because of the technology requirements at different locations. But it is easy to have briefings. And so having had discussions with all of you about the importance of being available to the community and wanting to have briefings, public briefings, and wanting to be able to have forums that people can easily access, I decided that in discussing with staff and Jackie that we would try and have the briefings spread across the ward, but rather than have the locations in here, we just need to clarify that all of the places are available. So that's the kind of proviso.
And I've done that now.
Okay. So Cindy has it. So it's 23rd of February would be in Aranoni at the Aranui, it's a new hybrid suburb, and at the I said it. Aranui, Waitai Community Centre, 25th of May at the Wilson Community Library, 24th of August at Bromley Community Centre, and 23rd of November at Spencerville Community Hub.
Cool.
So those are public briefings.
So those meetings will allow for a public forum slot as discussed, potential elected members information exchange and briefing. So dependent on the topics will dependent if they will be publicly available, and the technology will be dependent if it can be live streamed.
So they're community board meetings, so
they are briefing slots.
So that we, so they're slightly, so they're like informal forums, so that the same kind of standing orders rules don't apply. And so it's designed so that we can make ourselves more accessible. So when people want to come and see us about an issue, it doesn't have to be about, there's no agenda, and we can determine, they can give us some idea of how long that they want to speak for.
And half the meeting might be public, half might not.
Yeah, and I mean, it's my hope and intent that we have public briefings and seminars at that time.
Yeah.
That the community can participate in and access.
I just feel like during the rec review, people were told that there'd be no decision that the boardroom would remain in New Brighton, and that would be something that the community could discuss. And I feel like we've never even had that discussion, and we're being asked to just make a decision right now without any discussion around the boardroom. And so, I personally feel like it would be good to move some of the board meetings to other areas. Like, for example, the board in the past has had a meeting at Namata Waka, Namo Park, and I think you've got a Linwood boardroom that has all the technology that took 20 years to get.
It's not there now.
Well, I don't know why they're removing technology.
Well, the thing is,
talk to us about that.
No, that's true, and it is going to be there from about July. And so when it is there, then we can make a decision. So that just because we have the schedule, it doesn't mean we cannot change it. And I think that we need a more focused discussion rather than at the end of a meeting about where we meet. I want to have that discussion, but I just want to reiterate that we're not saying this is the only place that we're going to have our decision-making meeting. So the principle is that we want to make ourselves accessible across the breadth of our community. I don't think that we need to decide all of those things right now. Does that make sense?
Well, then why not just take the venues out and just agree to the meeting dates and times and then just work through?
Well, I guess it's kind of the other thing. We do need to publicly notify those meetings. So we need a default.
All right, well, then can we add a note then that the board will do more work around?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Formal meeting locations.
So in the resolution, can we?
They may be subject to change.
No, that's good. I like that as a
Please repeat your words, Charlie.
I think it's like the board will consider the formal meeting locations and these may be subject to change. Consider the formal meeting locations as the term progresses.
As a term progresses.
And that those listed above may be subject to change.
I'm happy with that. Don't have any dissent. All right, cool. And I mean the briefings we don't need the same note. So with that in mind, would someone like to move that? Moved by Greg, seconded by Jackie. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. All right, thank you everyone. We have the submissions committee. So I've had a chat, and so if Jackie's happy to chair it and Joe's happy to be deputy chair of the submissions committee, any further discussion? Nope. Okay. Well, I'm happy to move that. And seconded by Tim.
So you want to amend this? It was a part of one resolution that the submissions committee the 6 members that will form part of the submissions committee will appoint the chair and deputy at its first meeting.
Oh, okay. Well, we can leave that to the committee then. Okay. Sorry. But it's not on my screen. So we'll leave that. But just foreshadowing potentially the decision foreshadowing the decision of the submissions committee, which is 6 non-councillor members. That was the okay, cool. Next one then is the recess committee. So I don't know what people's moves are over the summer. So the resolution is that providing the board chairperson or deputy person and 4 other members available to be authorised, etc., etc. All those things. Any questions or
includes councillors, doesn't it?
Yeah. So it just means that if you can assemble.
So half doesn't need to be available.
Yeah. Someone like to move that then? Jackie, second by Greg. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Right, thank you. We now have the area report. Chris, and sorry it's taken us so long to get here.
So for my part, I'm happy just to take the report as read and happy if there's any questions of the board.
Right. Do we have any questions for Chris about Kelly?
I didn't read about the Smithville car park. Was that done from OPEX? Or?
Are you able to answer that one? Emily, do you know? No.
It was a surprise.
It was a surprise.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We can find out for you, Kelly, if you'd like to know.
No, that's cool.
It's good news, though.
Good surprise.
I'm so cool.
I had a question. It was about the. I noticed in the conclusion of the memo about Linwood Park that the process for engagement with the sports coach went through when new or reinstated sports parks become available, blah, 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 through the regional sports organisations for whom sports fields are allocated. So now, so both the Canterbury Rugby League and Mainland Football express interest on behalf of Linwood Cares and Cashmere Tech. So I have been reassured by staff that Cashmere Tech, that there is an ongoing relationship that is actually quite long-standing with between senior staff and Cashmere Tech, and that they will they've been kept in the loop. It's not what was expressed to us at this board, as we know, but I just wondered, it just seems to be whether Linwood Cares and Cashmere Tech were involved or themselves, or whether that was through Mainland and Canterbury Rugby League. And I don't know what the usual process is for that, but I guess as a local community board, kind of keen to have our local clubs involved in the discussion rather than just through their parent bodies. It's more of it's not really a question. Comment.
Sorry, I can make a note of that.
So I'd like to just sort of know a bit more about that. Anyone else have any? Oh, Yanni, go.
Well, just to say, I've had further feedback from local residents who are dismayed at the lack of communication and engagement around the restoration of Linwood Park, the temporary village, and I just can't believe that there's been no consultation with them over what was being proposed. So, yeah, that's ongoing. And actually, the board at the briefing wanted to know what the process was to have a public consultation on what was proposed. Given that it's probably $1 million project, they had no consultation. So, yeah, we do more consultation over yellow lines probably than that. But just in the report, you've asked if we confirm we require separate briefing from ECAN over the organics processing plant. Can I say we actually need one from council staff and ECAN, because it's not just the organics processing plant in terms of living earth, it's the dumping of the compost in Dyers Road, Breezes Road roundabout. That is a council responsibility and an ECAN enforcement responsibility, and it would do really good to know what's going on in more detail?
So I think some advice was provided this week around dyers, and it's not so much dumping, but it's preparing the ground.
It stinks, man. It's like so bad, and it's just revolting that they think that it's acceptable to do that without any consent, any communication, and to show up at an amazing group meeting and everyone's to deny that there's any odor issues, when it's really obvious that anyone that bikes fast or walks fast or drives fast, that's absolutely vile.
It does smell. And I guess it's the thing. It's like, oh well, the what's the word? The attitude, and I don't know if it's true or not, but it does feel like, oh well, they live near the sewage ponds, it doesn't matter. Or this is the sewage ponds, it doesn't matter. It's just, but the real concern, and Jackie is probably, I'll pass to you because I think I know it.
Right, one of the things about the dumping of compost was the Living Earth had said that the compost that they had sold to the council for spreading in that area did not stink, right? Because compost that's ready to spread doesn't smell. So Living Earth is saying it doesn't smell. Council is saying, oh, it doesn't smell. ECAN is saying, we don't know anything about this. It doesn't come under our thing. And basically at that meeting, it was a buck pass, and that's all it was. The fact of the matter is, the council had spread compost on that around that intersection in preparation for planting. That is absolutely vile. And the council and ECAN will not accept responsibility for it. They both passed the buck. And Living Earth says we sold it.
And ECAN have stopped monitoring.
If you read the minutes from the last organic processing plant meeting, they have said, like, people are saying, we've made all these phone calls, and ECAN have come back and said, well, we haven't had any complaints. They said that we've had 12 complaints or something. And as they said, they had 12. This person over here had made 9. That one had made 6. That one had made 5. And they were only people that were present. And then they said we haven't got any data. And when we asked them what data they wanted, they could not supply that information as to what data they wanted. And then they couldn't supply what data they'd actually been collecting. And it was all very, very vague. But in terms of the Breezes Road, council won't own it, ECAN won't own it, neither of them. They're just going,
But do you realise they're doing Ruru Road right now?
But the thing is, yes, the advice we got, Chris, was not relevant to the question that was asked.
Yeah. Celeste.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to endorse probably what's already been said. I think probably because we got some advice around the tree planting schedule, but separate to that, that's an area where people already in other parts of the east obviously are quite already sensitised. They've got a number of other things that have provoked various issues through no fault of, those communities being subject to these decisions by council. And I think there needs to be at the very least better communication with those impacted communities. So what would be the trigger point for us to get further advice from staff, bearing in mind that would be a council role or in terms of managing
I guess
the impact on those communities?
There's two things. There's the council response and responsibility, and there's ECAN. And at the moment, it's a bit of a difficult situation to be in. I think maybe more difficult for councillors, but we have, ECAN has not pursued compliance action against the council, which arguably they should have. And the council seems to be passing the buck to ECAN. So, it's ongoing. It's been more than a decade.
It's some very basic stuff that we asked at the liaison group that no one seems to have taken responsibility for. And Jackie will recall, we were horrified after working on this for over 10 years and the residents complaining for nearly 14 years that they were told by ECAN that they lacked the data to take any action against the complaints. And so we said, okay, well, as a way forward, can we prepare something that goes to the local community that explains how to get the data recorded? So when people know how to complain, how to send the data that ECAN need to make sure that people can feel that they can do something, right? Because people were ringing up, as Jackie said, feeling like everything was being ignored. So I think that's the sort of conversation we need to have with ECAN and council staff around that proactive communications.
So
in that community.
I would like, so we can ask for a briefing from council, a briefing session meeting with council staff. And the second is that I would like the board's agreement for me to write to the CEO of ECAN asking for a meeting / briefing with compliance staff about the organics processing plant and associated issues. If I can get your agreement to do that, I'll like that.
I think it would be useful. Yeah. But remember, it is a joint odour monitoring project between council and ECAN, so we're not just the minority.
But ultimately, in terms of the compliance side of it, it's ECAN's responsibility to, the council's responsibility to meet the terms of the consent, and ECAN's responsibility to enforce compliance.
It's not just a legal responsibility, it's the ethical one.
Well, yeah, everybody's ethically responsible, that's right. But unfortunately, when you're in a position like this, it gets down to the brass tacks of legal responsibility.
Well, that was something that I brought up at the meeting, was what about the lived experience of these people who've had 14 years of living with this, and they said it doesn't count for anything. The actual documentation of the lived experience is not a legal thing that they can use to use in any compliance or legal issue.
That's debatable.
Could I quickly tell you what they did in the 70s?
No, because we're running well over time. Do we need to move that? Yep, I'm going to move that.
Sorry, so in regards to the two things that you've put on there, would that relate to the dumping of compost the odour? Is that covered by that?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. All right. I'll move that from the chair. Do I have a
yes? To add to that, I see that there is reference to the wastewater treatment plant. Can we also ask, I don't know if you want to confuse it too, but the independent external review, which was supposed to start years ago, or months ago, which we've still had no report back on, but if we're running to council around the organics processing plant and dumping compost, given that it's probably some similar staff possibly involved, I don't know if it's worth it.
Can we move this into it separately?
I'll put a response to that, if that's okay for you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
That request has already been received and made by this board, and it's currently sitting with staff. So as soon as I have a response, it will be reported back. I don't think
because the only other thing I wanted
to
understand was around that wastewater treatment plant fire fund. What's the process for groups to access that? Do they just write to the community board? Or?
I think that we can get the information separately. I'm going to move this from the chair. Do I have a seconder? Yeah. Celeste. All those in favour? Pardon? Yeah. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. All right. I'm going to that board area report close. Thank you very much, Chris. Elected members information exchange. Bearing in mind that we're 15 minutes over time, and we're going to all need to help staff pack up. Is there anything that really important that anybody needs to share? Cindy, when are you taking our emails up until Friday?
Thursday, end of day, because Friday's my last day.
Thursday, end of day. Yep. All right. So if you call this this year, because Cindy won't be available.
Next week.
So if you need any information, please write to Cindy by then.
Through the chair,
I'd
just like to thank the staff for all their work this year, patience with us, and I think it's been a really good start to the term. Appreciate all the work you do, as usual.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Especially your side of the table,
Great.
There was just one thing that had someone come to me. There's a petition going to council around the exit from the park that I spoke of earlier. They've had over 650 people sign it.
Exit from what?
The exit from Preston's Park on the Mary Road. So yeah, it's something we want to share that it's going to council and they're progressing it as a group. Yeah, come to us at some stage.
Cool, thank you.
Just quickly, I'll email a whole lot of stuff to the board.
Yep.
But one of the most important ones I went to was the emergency action plan for the coastal ward. And I'll send the thing about there. And also the info centre that's being set up with at St Faith's Church. So I'll send stuff on you.
Cool. Thank you very much. All right, and I just like to conclude by saying, because this is our final actual board activity. What? So did you have your hand up?
I was going to say,
it would. Yeah, sure.
I'll go very quick. Just very briefly, we met with Poto, and we're going to look at connecting in the new year. So I'll keep you posted on that. But we discussed some of the issues around security and also just having more regular meetings with the other stakeholders, such as the police. So we'll keep you posted. In terms of the community board, we're looking at restarting that communication. But we discussed a few different topical issues. So
I put up with Celeste and she said, hey, I'm going to see Portal. And she said, you can come if you want. I'll check with Portal. Funnily enough, she was all right for that.
So update in the new year.
I think it's similar thing.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, thank you, everyone. I just want to conclude by saying that I really enjoyed the start of this term. I'm really happy with the way that we're working together. I'm really grateful for the staff that we have and how patient and gracious you are with us elected members and for the real hard work you're doing and answering our questions and getting us information. And to wish everyone a really good Christmas and New Year, and I look forward to meeting board members in mid-January. But I'm not on Christmas break yet. So feel free to get in touch. With that note, karakia whakamutanga. Unihia ki te uru tapanui, kia wātia, kia mama, te nākau, te tinana, te wairua i te ara, takata, koe rā I rongo, whakairia ake ki runga, kia tina, huie, tāu.